Hi crafters, I'm Robbie Susan Chandler from RobbieSusanCardsandCrafts.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Quincy, Florida, right outside Tallahassee, Florida. I'm here to share a project with you, so let's get started. Here's the card I'm highlighting today, and I'm going to show you how to make it from beginning to end. There'll be a lot of blending of colors on this card, and every stamp on this card comes from this set, Lighting the Way. The stamp set also has a beautiful coordinating die set with it that cuts out the lantern and some other fireflies in it. But today we're just going to be using stamps. So let's look at our supplies and see what we're going to be using. First, you need a card base that's just the thick basic white, and it's 11 by 4 1/4 inches, scored at 5 1/2 inches. And then the next layer on this card is Starry Sky, and it's 4 1/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches. And then the piece that I'm going to be working on is actually a 5 1/2 inch by 4 1/4 inch, and it's cut with the radiating stitch dies. That's one of our online exclusive. You can only find it online. And when you cut this piece out, you end up with a piece that looks like this. I love that die. I love this radiating stitch design that it has in it. Okay, so let's start some sponging or blending, since we're going to be using the blending brushes. The first color I'm going to use is Bermuda Bay. And unfortunately, Bermuda Bay is one of our colors that will be retiring. But we have one called Coastal Cabana that's very similar. So we're going to ink up our blend and start off on your paper and blend going in. And you should have it darker on the edge and lighter as you go towards the middle. And if you start off on the edge, all these little funny spots will be over there and not in your card. Alright, let's do the top. I love making cards using blending brushes. And this is our large blending brush. We now have smaller ones too. But in this case I wanted to use the large one because there's a large area of paper we're working on here. And this piece right here is our regular basic white. The card base I like to use the thick because it's much sturdier. Okay, so here's our first layer of color, and then I'm going to come back with Starry Sky. We're going to blend it around the edge. And you don't want to go too far out because then you'll be covering up all of your Bermuda Bay ink. And like, what was the point of that if you're going to cover it all up? So let's just keep this around the edge. Alright. And you know, this being a dark color, it doesn't take a whole lot for it to be pretty. Okay. And I like my colors intense. I just think they show up better. If you want a softer look, you don't have to put your colors quite as dark as I'm doing. Alright, a little bit more down here across the bottom. Alright, I think that's a good start there. Okay, now we're going to add our greenery and pieces that were in the stamp set. So the first one we're going to stamp is this tall one, and actually it's this one from the set. So I'm going to ink it up in the Bermuda Bay. I'll get a good inking on it. And we're going to add it up this side, and I kind of like to keep my stems off if I can. So we're going to add one there. And we're going to add one over here. Yep, that one didn't stamp well. Let me see if I can line that one up again. See, that's the nice thing about the clear stamps. You can just get right in there and line it back up. Perfect. Yay. And then we'll add one down here on the bottom. All right, that one too. My goodness, let's try it again. There we go. Still having trouble with that leaf right there. Let's get this thing right. There. All right, so that's that one. And now we're going to add this leaf, which is, or this stem, which is this one right here. And we're going to put it, we're going to stamp it in Starry Sky. So I'm going to add one over here on this side. One down here on the bottom. Another one on the bottom, a little bit taller. And then one up this side. Okay. Now, while I have this ink out, I also going to add some of these little swirls around. And I just kind of randomly added them here and there. And these are also from the same stamp set. And I just kind of used them as a frame. And since we'll be adding some fireflies, it's kind of like fireflies swirling around here and there. Okay. And speaking of fireflies, let's add a few of them since we're still in the same ink. And we're going to add one right here. And let's add another one. And these are the bigger fireflies. There's two different sizes in the set. These are the large ones, and then here is the small one. Make sure I'm stamping it right side up. I'm going to add him right here. Okay, so that's everything that we use the Starry Sky for. Now let's switch to Garden Green. And this is the stamp we're using this time. It's this one right here. And see, here was the swirl we used, and here are the fireflies. All right, so the Garden Green, sync it up, and I added some of this over on the side. And out here, added one kind of peeking, well, let's add one a little bit taller up here. One kind of peeking down here, one over here, and one up this side. All right. Now, that's actually all the greenery that I put on this one. The only other thing we need to add are the dots for the fireflies. And they're in Daffodil Delight. And since since I did the fireflies first, it's pretty easy to see them, so you can see where to stamp the little glow. And one more on this one. Okay. And there we have it. That was pretty quick and easy. Now to add some sparkle to this, Stampin' Up! Used to sell this shimmer paint, and I've still hung on to some of it. You may have some from another brand or another company. But I want to put a little shimmer on this, so I'm going to give it a good spray. And as you see, it's curling up a little bit, but just kind of let it, and I have alcohol in there, so the alcohol will dry pretty quick. So let's get this drying. But wow, look at the shimmer on that. Let me hold it up to the camera so you can see. See all that shimmer? It also darkens the color, and I've also noticed it makes an interesting design in this ink that you put on around the edge. All right, so now we're going to adhere this piece to our Starry Sky piece. Grab my glue. And actually, it probably would be better if I let this dry a little bit longer, but we're gonna go ahead and put this together. Now this stamp set is carrying over to our annual catalog, which is nice, so it's going to be available for another whole year. Put that there. Hold it down for a minute, see if I can get it to glue flat. Meanwhile, I'll get my card base. Good crease here. Okay, so let's glue this to the card base. Oh, I'm about to forget one thing. I put this mesh, it's called metallic mesh ribbon, and it's still available right now in the catalog, but it's one of our retiring items. And grab some snail. This is easier to put on if you've got some snail. You can use the old snail we used to have, or grab some of the new, whatever your favorite one is. Just put it on the bottom. I wanted to add kind of a little, I don't know, lightning bug, foggy type feel here, just to give it a little mystical look and feel. Now let's put that in the middle of our base of thick basic white. Okay, there we go. The only other thing I'm going to add is one of our dragonfly trinkets. And they look like this. Notice my hand's glittery now. And I tried putting one of these on with a glue dot, and it just did not want to stay. So I'm just going to put a little dot of glue here and lay him right on that. And give him some time to dry. So I didn't put a sentiment in this card because I wanted to save it for whenever I need a card for some occasion and don't know which one I want to use. I thought, well, I could pull this one out. So here's the card. I think it turned out beautiful. I love this card. I love this design. Up, and there went my dragonfly. I tilted him too much. Didn't give him a chance to dry. So let's just lay him right there. And he wants to fly everywhere. So I hope you'll try this card. I have a link for a free tutorial. And please, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to my channel. And until next time, happy crafting.